well-behaved young fellows who ever spent time with in the back of a smelly old transit van. I'm talking about Ride, the starry-eyed pride of little old Oxford town down there in the south of England. These boys have got everything going for them at the minute. Youth, a smash single, jangly guitars, good cheekbones, a record deal with Creation, a singer with the luckiest lips this side of Cliff Richard, and a second album out soon that's destined to rock the nation. Reason enough for you all Ride fans to stop gazing at those shoes for 5 minutes and get an eyeful of this upcoming report. Putting their way to the top, the group is Ride, Rapido the guide, and the rest is only a second away.
This strange machinery is keeping you.
When Ride's single, Leave Them All Behind, recently entered the charts at number 9, it wasn't just their biggest hit to date. It marked the transition of Ride, the indie stars, to Ride, the pop stars, and made their hometown of Oxford famous for something other than its university.
We spent the majority of last year at home, which was really good. It's kind of, we got all the band thing out of the way for a while and just started living a normal life again instead of being in the back of a coach or in a studio.
It's good. Used to come up here a lot when we were younger as well, so it's sort of like, it's a good sort of place to go and just sort of shout at loads of guys running around with the ball rather than kind of get hassled.
Shoegazers, the Blank Generation, or the Thames Valley scene. When their debut album was released just over a year ago, Ride were part of an indie scene that had more names than Elizabeth Taylor. But on the eve of the release of their second album, in the words of their single, they are bands that Ride have left behind.
I didn't think we knew what we wanted to sound like on the first album. It was still in the time when we were, we were trapped in that indie scene, like My Bloody Valentine, The House of Love. But now that's all gone, and we can kind of get on with what we want to do.
It's an essential part of, I think being a band. Everyone has to start off by copying people they admire, and so I think we obviously we did it, and we're sort of coming out of it now.
A lot of it's got to do with just learning to play better. I mean, like initially you're not a musician. You just made a band because you wanted to, and you've got nothing to say you can play well. But just gradually, and you just get better at playing your instrument.
I think
that's great.
There's a kind of lack of tolerance now about new bands because they're expected to be too good too soon, and they're expected to have no influences. And I think it's not very healthy because bands should be sort of tolerated until they can,
blossom.
The title of their new album is Going Blank Again, a tongue-in-cheek reference to the labels the music press have invented, and revealing a quality that many people thought Ride didn't possess, a sense of humour. The album should surprise Ride fans even more, being the nearest thing to a pop record the band have ever made.
I think the fact now that we've kind of, by the second album time, we kind of used a lot more of our own sort of imagination generally, and just felt a lot sort of happier to do that then, So it was more clear-cut, it's definitely what we wanted to do.
It's just a lot easier to do. This album was just so much easier to make in a way. I mean, it took a bit longer, but it just seemed freer and easier and simpler, more natural.
Also, can we pay tribute to Alan Moulder for recording it and mixing it, because he was really good.
Never let me talk to you, destroy the frozen path. It's a different time now, things are moving much too fast. Go back today, now it's turned into grind. Bringing my doubts, left my thoughts sink away.
When we started out, we had a lot of ideas of what we wanted to be like. And when we started doing these ideas, it's sort of, the things that we were doing sort of became the rules. That you had to do 4 tracks on an EP and you had to not do 7 inches and you had to sort of have a one-word name. And it just became sort of like this horrible vomit of indie bands all the same. And so, I mean, we were sort of doing it to be different and trying to sort of carve our own little hole for ourselves.
Niche.
Let's put one in the net now with a bunch of likely lads who've just bobbed up from jolly old Cork over there in Ireland. They call themselves the Sultans of Ping FC, with no apologies whatsoever to Mark Knopfler and company, and specialize in taking their rocking and rolling with a large pinch of salt. How else can one explain their recent UK hit, where is mid-jumper a touching ode to the problems of losing your jersey in a discotheque? Huh? True, it's early days for these wacky cross-dressing Irish layabouts, but they're already renowned enough to have audiences laying on their back, waving their arms and legs too in appreciation. Also, they're very popular in Sweden, which must mean something, for I'm not quite sure what. Right now, for let's make way for the Sultans of Ping doing their thing on Rapido.
Next. Wait a minute. Where's me jumper? Where's me jumper? Where's me jumper? Where's me jumper?
Ireland's Sultans of Ping FC come from a time-honoured pop tradition that includes half man, half biscuit, senseless drinking and the toy dolls. They're about as serious as Timmy Mallet, but their music is far from being a joke. The origins of their name, however, is a different story.
About 2 or 3 years ago, I suppose Dire Straits were really huge. It was kind of at that stage, at that time, it was kind of sacrilege to say anything whatsoever funny or nasty about them. And it was a bit funny at the time. It's not so funny now. It's kind of irrelevant.
Also, when we step on stage, we feel like Sultans of Ping.
Yeah, we feel like Sultans of Ping. We feel like Sultans. And then we think to ourselves, Sultans of what? What's the object? And then we think, Ping.
The eternal.
Well, I said I was a master, martialistics, an absolute expert in into ballistics, like I'm a paralyzed. I said I am, I said. And you said I was a master.
Football's a passion that extends further than the band's name. One of their songs is dedicated to Wrexham Football Club, and others have titles such as Give Him a Ball and A Yard of Grass. In fact, Sultans of Ping FC spend as much time on the pitch as on the stage.
Well, we're all very interested in football, I suppose. You know, everyone else. I mean, he goes to see Cork City play every week. So we've got to be slightly, bizarrely fanatical to go and see Cork City. Have you seen Cork City? It's evil. The football is so bad, evil is the only word
Brilliant.
for it.
Greatest team ever.
They drew 1-1 with Bayern Munich, and you know, you had grown men crying and being ill.
The greatest day of football in our footballing lives.
It's very nice, that's okay. Assurance vice, that's okay. Very good, that's okay.
The Sultan of Ping's fashion sense is probably summed up in the title of their next single, which is called Stupid. It's cross-dressing with a purpose, though, and there's a very good reason why the Sultans wear tutus and tights.
So many bands look ridiculous on stage.
New York Dolls.
It's kind of a deliberate thing to go on and show everybody up, you know? Because people were coming onto the stage in leather jackets and hair greased back, and everything was so perfect. It was just kind of...
It's like that, I think.
To get away from that.
They like wearing the clothes, you know.
Yeah, I really do.
And I think everybody in the audience wants to...
Everybody wants to wear a dress at some stage in their life, but they're just too
No, I
afraid
don't
to do
want
it.
to
Of course
wear
you
a
do.
dress. And
I don't.
You always say.
I certainly do.
Your parents wore them. Your dad wore a polar bear suit once.
Nicest thing I ever laid eyes on, ran in the 215 Brighton. You think I'm a silly tanker, I like cider more than wine, but rah, you can't be.
Their live performance, though, is when Sultans of Ping make most sense. The audience make the band themselves look positively tame and have, quite literally, given audience participation a new name, air cycling. Whether they will prove as popular as Ireland's new crop of bands, though, is another question.
If you fucking say we're not, I'll blow you down like Robocop.
In Ireland, there's just an alternative side to this Celtic rock thing. I mean, you know, U2 and, you know, Hot House Flowers, all these bands are very important in Ireland, but there's a lot of, you know, on the other side of things, you have bands like Therapy that are coming up through, you know, and, you know, they're demanding recognition now as well, and, you know, people are beginning to cop on that there's another side, you know, to the musical side of Ireland.
There's an interesting side, and it's not just boring. It's not just looking, still haven't found what you're looking for, business.
Where's my jumper? Where's my jumper, oh no?
Rapido's already given you more than a taste of techno.